Welcome back to another daily lore. I'm trying not to make as much noise moving around because, I mean, I know it's like the 10th video, but still, I'm trying not to move around as much. Obviously, if you hear me breathing, I can't do anything about that. I have a headphone in, so I have an earpiece in, so I can't really do anything.
My cousin kept making jokes about adopting my baby, then I discovered her fake pregnancy bump and nursery at her apartment. Now she's furious that I showed everyone the evidence at her surprise baby shower. I'm 31 and 7 months pregnant with my first child, a little girl. My pregnancy wasn't planned. My boyfriend of 3 years and I had actually broken up 2 months before I discovered I was expecting. Despite the difficult circumstances, I decided to keep the baby and raise her on my own. My ex has been respectful of my decision but made it clear he doesn't want to be involved beyond financial support. My
That
cousin
makes
Melissa is
sense.
34 and has struggled with fertility issues for years. She and her husband Brian have gone through multiple failed IVF attempts, and their last embryo transfer ended in a miscarriage about 8 months ago. The whole family has supported them through this devastating journey, and I've always been especially close to Melissa. We grew up more like
Okay.
sisters than cousins. When I announced my pregnancy to the family, most were supportive despite the unconventional circumstances.
But
Melissa's reaction, however, was strange from the beginning. She hugged me
yeah,
tightly and whispered that she was so happy for us. The
I think she's obviously jealous that you're having a baby, and she's not
This struck me as odd.
because of how many times she tried.
She
Of,
hugged me tightly and whispered that she
I don't
was so
think she
happy.
heard me. Of how many times she tried. She tried so many times, and obviously she couldn't get pregnant, but then you got pregnant. So she's probably jealous or something like that.
For us. The yes struck me as odd, but I brushed it off as a slip of the tongue. As my pregnancy progressed, Melissa became increasingly involved in a way that began to make me uncomfortable. She insisted on attending every doctor's appointment, referred to the baby as our little princess, and constantly touched my growing bump without permission. When I gently tried to establish boundaries, she'd laugh it off, saying, "What's yours is mine, we're practically sisters." The comments about adoption
Practically
started around
sisters.
my 4th month. They were always framed as jokes, but they came with increasing frequency. "If you ever get tired of motherhood, I'll take her off your hands. Or maybe we should just pretend
That's
she's mine from the
stupid.
start, save everyone the confusion." Each time, I
The
would firmly state that I
confusion.
was keeping my
What confusion? I don't really understand what there is to be confused about.
daughter, and each time, Melissa would roll her eyes and say I couldn't take a joke. My family minimized my concerns. "She's just excited for you," my mother would say. "You know how much she wanted a baby."
Hmm.
Even when Melissa started buying baby clothes and furniture to help out, no one seemed to think her behavior crossed
I mean, it doesn't really matter how much she wanted a baby, honestly. But if the behavior is weird, if behavior is weird, you can't just. I mean, you could minimize it, not to deal with it, obviously, which is probably what most people do. They minimize the problem so they don't have to actually deal with it until it actually becomes a bigger problem. Then they have to actually deal with it, but by then it's pretty much too late because they didn't want to deal with it at the time. It's mainly your fault, obviously.
any lines. The turning point came 3 weeks ago. I had misplaced my spare apartment key, which I keep for emergencies. I couldn't remember the last time I'd used it and assumed it was lost somewhere in my apartment. Then one evening, I came home early from a prenatal yoga class that had been canceled, and found Melissa in my nursery, measuring the walls with a tape measure and taking photos. She jumped
That's
when she
weird.
saw me, quickly explaining that she wanted to surprise me with wall decals. When I
Right.
asked how she got in, she claimed my mother had given her a key, something my mother later denied. I checked my key hook after Melissa left, and mysteriously, my lost spare key had reappeared. Deeply unsettled, I decided to change my locks the next day. I also began to distance myself from Melissa, declining her invitations and limiting our interactions to group family gatherings. She noticed the change immediately and bombarded me with texts
Yeah.
asking what was wrong, why I was being hormonal, and how she would.
I mean, if you know it's hormonal, why would you ask? I mean, I don't, I'm not, I don't know that much about that, but why would you ask if you know it's hormonal? It's nothing you can control.
Just trying to help. Then last week, I needed to drop off some paperwork at Melissa's apartment for a family insurance matter. She wasn't home, but her husband Ryan was. He invited me in and went to look for the documents in their home office. While waiting, I noticed something odd on their coat rack, a small shopping bag from a maternity store I recognized. Curiosity got the better of me. I peeked inside and found a silicone pregnancy belly, the kind used by movie actresses or for trying on maternity clothes. Confused, I glanced around the apartment and noticed a partly open door I'd always assumed was a closet. Through the crack, I could see what appeared to be a fully decorated nursery. Heart pounding, I pushed the door.
Oh my god, did she replicate the nursery one for one? Oh, that would be creepy. Holy shit. And don't even tell me if that's endearing or that's cute. No, that's creepy. Why would you copy somebody else's nursery? Wouldn't you make it your own? Wouldn't you design your own nursery? I mean, shit, yes, you could take inspirations from people, but completely one copying somebody else's nursery, that's just weird.
Open further. The room was complete with a crib, changing table, rocking chair, and walls painted in the exact same color I had chosen for my nursery. On the dresser were framed ultrasound photos, my ultrasound photos, which Melissa had photographed during my appointments. There was even a hospital bag packed and ready, with a birth plan that listed Melissa as the mother. I was taking photos of the room with shaking hands when Ryan found me. His face went pale. Instead of being angry at my snooping, he looked relieved, as if a great weight had been lifted. I thought I was losing my mind, he confessed. He explained that Melissa had told him 3 months ago that they were finally pregnant through a surprise successful embryo transfer she had kept secret to surprise him. When he asked to join her prenatal appointments, she always had excuses. Recently, she had started wearing the fake bump around the house. Ryan and I had a long, difficult conversation. He had been suspicious but couldn't bring himself to confront what seemed unthinkable, that his wife was faking a pregnancy and potentially planning something regarding my baby. He showed me Melissa's phone, which contained hundreds of photos of me, my ultrasound images.
How does he have Melissa's phone? What? How does he have her phone? I don't. Did it say where she was? I don't get how he has her phone, but okay.
And screenshots of articles about relatives adopting relatives' babies. Most disturbing of all, we found a draft email to a lawyer inquiring about the process for assuming custody of a child if the mother was deemed unfit, with a list of evidence of my supposed instability and unpreparedness for motherhood. Ryan.
I mean, I would assume they would go through a bunch of checks to see if this is true. My assumption might be wrong, but I would assume they would go through a bunch of checks, not just take one person's word for it. Even if they are backed up, it doesn't matter. That's wrong to do that, of course.
Was devastated but determined to get Melissa help. We agreed he would confront her that evening with her therapist present on a video call. I went home shaking.
I don't think that actually went that well. Most likely. Probably did not.
Installed a security system the next day, and informed my doctor's office not to allow Melissa access to any of my information or appointments. What I didn't know was that while this intervention was supposedly happening, my aunt, Melissa's mother, was planning a surprise baby shower for Melissa. The invitations had gone out weeks ago, presenting the event as a celebration of Melissa's miracle pregnancy after years of heartbreak. I only found out about the
Yeah. I don't. Why would you pretend to be pregnant? Like, come on. I mean, you can only. You can only, pretend that you can only pretend for so long. And obviously, DNA as well.
When my mother mentioned picking up a gift for Melissa's big day tomorrow. Shocked, I told my mother everything, showing her the photos I had taken. She was horrified but insisted there must be a reasonable explanation. When she called my aunt, she discovered that everyone in the extended family believed Melissa was pregnant. She had been wearing her fake bump to family functions I hadn't attended and had created an elaborate story about her.
I see. So she didn't invite her to family stuff because obviously it would, of course, you would know the lie. Everyone would know the lie. So you weren't invited to stuff like that. So obviously, because if you were invited, you would tell everyone that she's not pregnant or whatever. You will find out she's not pregnant.
Miracle baby. The shower was planned for the next day at my aunt's house, with over 40.
But honestly, because most people want to touch, obviously, your belly. It's just a thing people want to do. I don't know. I don't really know why. I could search it up, whatever. But most people want to touch it. If you touch it, wouldn't you know? Or she's like, no, don't touch it. Because, I mean, wouldn't it be like kind of squishy? Because obviously, your stomach, I mean, yeah, I guess your stomach, actually, no, would it be hard or squishy? I mean, if it's made of plastic, if it's made of rubber, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that would be kind of both, in a way. I don't know. It might have been, it has to be like, it has to feel like it,
Guests
I
invited.
guess.
My mother begged me not to cause a scene, suggesting we address this privately as a family after the event.
Yeah, address it privately. Why would you do that? I mean, I guess you don't want to embarrass somebody and the whole family knows. But I mean, the whole family's gonna know anyway. I mean, it's better to get it out now than later. Because obviously, you know, the whole family thinks you're pregnant. Once, obviously, down the line, if you just handle it privately, somebody thinks you're still pregnant or having kids, that obviously they don't know that the whole thing was a lie. They would actually be shocked or mad that you knew that they didn't have a kid and you didn't tell them, or they'll be shocked or something like that. I don't know. So it's probably better to tell everyone at the same time, honestly.
But something in me snapped. The months of boundary violations, the jokes about taking my baby, the invasion of my home, and now this elaborate deception, it was too much. I decided to attend the shower. I arrived early.
There's probably a mix of hormones and logic as well. Because logical hormones, oof. I mean, I know hormones and emotion and logic doesn't go together. Emotion, logic doesn't go together. Emotional logic does go together.
Before Melissa, and connected my phone to my aunt's TV. When Melissa made her grand entrance, proudly displaying her fake bump and a tight dress, the room erupted in cheers and congratulations. My aunt announced it was time for a special presentation and nodded to me, thinking I was going to play a tribute video we had discussed for a different family event. Instead, I played a slideshow of the photos from Melissa's apartment, the fake belly on her coat rack, the nursery with my ultrasound photos, screenshots of her disturbing emails. The room fell silent. Melissa froze, her eyes darting between the screen and my face. When the photos finished, I simply said, "There is no baby." Melissa has been faking her pregnancy and making plans regarding my child. The aftermath was chaos. Melissa collapsed in tears, alternating between denying everything and screaming that I had ruined her life. My aunt accused me of jealousy and manipulation. Ryan confirmed everything, his voice breaking as he explained the extent of Melissa's deception. Family members didn't know who to believe until my mother brought out her phone and played a video call with Melissa's fertility doctor, whom my mother had contacted with Melissa's authorization form that she had signed years ago, who confirmed they had not done any embryo transfers in over 8 months. Melissa was taken to the hospital for psychiatric evaluation that evening. She's since been diagnosed with a complex psychiatric condition triggered by grief and fertility trauma. She's currently.
That makes sense. In other words, she was jealous. But I mean, if you want to put all the other stuff on top of it, that's fine. You know, that's okay. Yeah, whatever.
In an intensive treatment program, and Ryan has filed for divorce. The family is divided. Some believe I humiliated Melissa unnecessarily, that exposing her illness in such a public way was cruel regardless of her actions. Others are thankful I brought things to light before the situation escalated further. Ryan has
That's
thanked me
true.
repeatedly, saying he was too deep in denial to act. As for me, I've installed security cameras at my home, informed my hospital about the situation, and am considering moving after the baby arrives. I'll be delivering at a different hospital than originally
True.
planned, with only my mother and best friend aware of the details. I don't regret exposing Melissa's deception. Her plans regarding my baby had progressed beyond harmless fantasy into potentially
that was
dangerous
very
territory.
weird.
But the public nature of my revelation sometimes keeps me awake at night. Was there a gentler way to handle it? Should I have trusted the family to address it privately? Then I
Hmm. Before she continues, I don't think addressing it privately, like I said, would actually be a good idea. I really don't think so. Just like how everyone would be on sides or not, they would want a bunch of proof or not proof, or it'd be like a fucking judge and jury and executioner type of thing. Like, no, it's better to be out in the family, the whole family, than to be on like just the basic family that's there. The whole family, the extended family, the cousins, whatever. That's part of the extended family. The extended family and main family, not just the main family. Let's see what she says.
remember the nursery with my ultrasound photos, the fake belly, the draft emails to lawyers, and the missing key to my apartment. I remember the months of jokes about taking my daughter. And I know that sometimes protecting yourself and your child means making difficult choices that others may not understand. My daughter will
True.
arrive in less than
True.
2 months. My focus now is on creating a safe, loving environment for her, surrounded by people I can truly trust. The rest of the family will either come around or keep their distance. Either way, my baby's security comes first. Sometimes family is who you choose, not who you're related to. And sometimes exposing an uncomfortable truth, however painful, is the only way forward.
Yep, true. And pretty much that's every one of these Reddits. Well, I think majority of these lore videos, I feel like daily lore videos, I feel like they're pretty much all, not all of them, but almost all of them are pretty much about family and then who can I talk? Who can you actually why can't I talk? I'm not gonna cut this out. Fuck that. I don't edit any of this. Who's family and who's not family, basically. You get to choose who's family, who's not family. I don't know why it's so hard to say that, but whatever. What I was gonna say before. I was gonna say something before. Fuck. I completely forgot. Dang it.
I'll be delivering at a different hospital than originally potentially dangerous territory. Remember
Nope.
the nursery with my ultrasound,
Nope.
protecting yourself and your child, her, surrounded by people I can truly trust. The rest of the family will either come around or keep their distance. Either way, my baby's security comes first. Privately? Then I remember the nursery with my ultrasound photo. Protecting yourself and your child means making difficult choices that others else to lawyers, and the missing key to my apartment. I remember the months of jokes about taking my daughter. And I know that sometimes protecting yourself and your child means making difficult choices that others may not understand. My daughter will arrive in less than 2 months. My focus now is on creating a safe, loving environment for her, surrounded by people I can truly trust. The rest of the family will either come around or keep their.
What was I gonna say? Fuck, I completely forgot. I don't know. Whatever I was gonna say, I'll probably remember it later when I end this. But whatever. It's fine.
Distance. Either way, my baby's security comes first. Sometimes family is who you choose, not who you're related to.
Let's play out. There you go. Not who you're related to. Okay. My cousin keeps making jokes. making jokes about adopting my baby. Then I discovered her fake pregnancy bump, and that was Dead Spies Reddit story react. Oh my god. Okay. See you next time.